Welcome to another Dietitian Connection bite-sized chats, and today's a very special one. We've got the DC team with us, so Kate and Melissa. Thanks so much for joining me, ladies.
Thanks, Maree.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
I'm excited to chat to you both, but I thought in our usual bite-sized chats conversations, we've been talking about how things have been going for you in COVID, so maybe we can start with you, Kate. How have the last few months been for you?
Well, both of you know the roller coaster that is my life. At the start of COVID, I had a meltdown in which Maree and Melissa were present for. And I found I really struggled at the start. I was really struggling to accept all the changes that were happening in our world, and specifically Dietitians Unite conference. That is the highlight of my year, and I know it's the highlight of your year as well, Maree. And I was really excited to have Melissa experience Dietitians Unite because she was new to the team as well. So I guess I was looking forward to that for 6 months. It was going to be our biggest Dietitians Unite yet out of 7 years. So I guess you could say I was really emotionally and professionally invested in it. And the news of us having to change it just kind of put me into a bit of inner turmoil. And it took me a while to fully process it. Maree, I remember being on the phone to you and just crying for no reason, but you were really good. You just listened and asked me what I needed. So at the start, it was really rough. Since then, I actually think I have a lot to be grateful for. And we were already working from home when COVID struck. We started working from home at the end of last year. So it actually, it wasn't too much of a shock to us compared to a lot of our colleagues. And I suppose there are a lot of things that I've found over the last few months that I think I have a lot to be grateful for. So I started doing yoga again and had more time to exercise in the morning and get outdoors. And I feel like overall as a team, the last few months have brought us together closer. We've become a really strong team, and Melissa started with us when it all happened, and I'm so glad she did, because I don't think we would have been able to get through the last few months without you, Melissa. So I'm so glad you are here with us to walk this journey, and I know you'll talk about that as well, because that is really impressive that you started a new job when all of this happened. And yeah, I think we're, I guess, 3 peas in a pod, and I think, you know, there's a lot of horrible things that have happened with COVID, but it's also made us really strong.
Totally agree. Yeah. So a bit of background for those listening, that Melissa joined us on the 15th of March, which is just when things were starting to shut down. Kate and I are based in Brisbane and Melissa's in Sydney. So we managed to have Melissa join us in Brisbane for her orientation. And then after that, pretty much everything shut down. So I'll hand over to you, Melissa, now, and you can tell us how things have been for you for the last few months.
Yeah, so I think, like Kate was just saying, you know, it was a really anxious time, especially at the start for me. Like everyone was feeling, you know, it was just uncertain, and, you know, I found it quite challenging to adjust to that new normal. But I think all in all, you know, I'm doing well now. And I think because I started my role with DC right as everything was hitting, it's kind of hard to know how everything would have gone otherwise, and what changes in my life were due to coronavirus and what changes were due to just starting a new job that was, you know, always intended to be a virtual role anyway. So yeah, this was my experience, and I don't really know how it would have played out differently in any other circumstances. But yeah, I'm doing really well, and I'm really enjoying working from home now that we've kind of really got used to my new routine and my new job. And it's quite interesting because that was the one thing that I was a little bit worried about, was working from home and kind of being on my own all the time. But it kind of made it a bit easier that I guess everyone around me was also adjusting to it. And now I really like it. It's been really good, and I'm doing really well now, especially the kind of, I feel like the hardest part we've gone through it, but who knows with the cases starting to rise again. But yeah, no, I'm doing well at the moment. So yeah.
I think in hindsight, we probably would have only done one Zoom meeting with you a week, and, you know, now we do them daily, and we have our virtual lunch on Tuesday and our walking meeting when we can on a Friday. You know, we wouldn't have done any of that without COVID. So it's really been a blessing in disguise, I think, for us to really gel together as a team. But I know
I remember,
yeah,
sorry Marie, I remember sitting at a coffee shop. Melissa was just about to fly back to Sydney, and you were like, we should meet frequently, and I was like, so once, twice a week? And you were like, no, every day. Check in, make sure how we're all going. And in hindsight, that was a really good decision.
Yeah, I think it was like, I always say to you, Maree, like that's something that I'm really, really grateful for. And I think it's such a good part of this role is that we do, you know, talk to each other multiple times every day. And without COVID happening, that probably wouldn't have happened. And my experience would have been really different with you guys. But I think it's, it really brought us together.
Yeah. And I know personally for you, Melissa, it caused some issues that you had to deal with. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so we had my wedding booked in for the start of next year, and our engagement party in April. So that's all. We had to cancel our engagement party, and we decided to postpone our wedding just because it was so uncertain. So that was a very difficult thing to have to do, but it's kind of all sorted now, and we've just got our fingers crossed that hopefully the world is a bit more normal by the time our new date rolls around. But that was a big challenge, and it was really hard. But I guess we've made the decision and it's postponed now, so it's just we have to wait a bit longer than we wanted to, but that's okay.
Yeah. I think there's lots of people, obviously many people, it's affected people in different ways, but everyone has been impacted, so it's just how really. But let's go back to the very start about when you started at Dietitian Connection. So it's more fresh in your mind, Melissa, but Kate, we'll start with you. Can you tell us about how you ended up here at DC? That's quite a story. I might have to add to or embellish your story. But you go for it first.
Well, this is perfect timing because closer to when this video goes to air, it's going to be my 4th year anniversary.
Yes, it will be.
Dietitian Connection. So I started with Dietitian Connection. I guess the first part of it was when I was still studying. I was finishing my Master's of Dietetic Studies, and I started and I did some volunteer work for Maree, and she gave me a project which was to start a podcast, and I guess that was the hurdle that I was to jump over. And I took a lot of pride in that project, and put a really detailed book together about that. And then Maree said to me, would you like to come work for me casually? And then that grew into a part-time role. I was also doing private practice as a new grad. And then eventually Maree offered me full-time work, which was a no-brainer. And I did have a few different jobs going on, but I couldn't think of anything better than to work full-time for Maree. So that was in early 2017, and I guess the rest is history.
Yeah, crazy. Well, it must have been 16 if you were 4 years.
So it was 16 part-time, and then full-time 2017. So I count July 2016 as my sort of official date, but it's actually longer than that with some of the other projects.
Yeah, and so I do have to add to that. So Melanie McGrice had gotten in touch with me because Kate had actually volunteered at an event with Melanie, and she wrote me an email and said, if you're ever looking for someone, I would recommend Kate. And I'm like, nobody takes the time to send you an email to recommend someone. Lovely. So I obviously had my eye out for you. And then I think you undersold the what you did with the podcast too. So it's like I explained to people, it was like, 12 pages of PDF with screenshots of all the different steps, and it was super exceeded my expectations of what I was expecting. And yes, the rest is history, and I say you still exceed expectations every single day, so I'm very fortunate to have you.
Thanks, Maree. I feel the same.
And Melissa, yours is still you went through a very different process. Do you want to tell us about your experience?
Yeah, so I'm in my 3rd year out of uni now. And I guess when I was at uni, I kind of always felt that I probably wasn't going to be, the typical dietitian and go and work in a hospital or anything like that. But I did have a real interest in, the media and writing. So I tried really hard to, I guess, get a bit of exposure and experience in that area. And I was really lucky. As soon as uni finished, I got a job at the Healthy Food Guide magazine. So I worked there for 2 years, and that was part-time. So I was working there 2 days a week for the first 2 years. And on top of that, I work as a regular contributor at Body and Soul. So that had kind of always been the first half of my week. And then the other half of my week, I could never really make it work. I tried working in private practice for someone else, and then gave my own private practice a little go. And I guess just at that time of my career, I just felt like it wasn't really right for me. So then I got a completely different part-time job to try and fill up that half of my week, working in a ready-made meal company, and that kind of never worked out either. And then, so I guess at the start of this year, I found myself really stuck, and it was just like clockwork that this job was advertised. And I thought it was a really great blend of my dietitian knowledge, but also my communication skills and, you know, what I'd been working on for the last 2 years at Healthy Food Guide and Body and Soul. So yeah, I applied for it, flew out to Brisbane, and yeah, was lucky enough to get the job. So as you said, Kate, the rest is history. Mm-hmm. It's only been 4 months, but I guess that's how I got here, and the kind of the experiences that I had that really played into me getting the role in the end. So
and apart from the fact that it was clearly meant to be, because Melissa and I are actually born on exactly the same day.
Exactly the same.
That is crazy.
Apart from that, I think we all complement each other really well. So Melissa is incredibly talented at writing, and I am talented at like visual design and like organizing and like seeing the kind of realistic parts to all of our projects. And Maree is the dreamer, and she has the big ideas, and she makes things happen without being afraid. So, well, that's how I would describe it. But if you guys have anything to add, I'd love to hear it.
I'm with you, Kate. I think you wrapped it up really well.
Yeah, and it feels like it's only been 4 months, but it feels like forever that we've been working together. And yeah, just so happy at how well we've really come together in this period, particularly with COVID, as a team.
And Melissa, you swam. We chucked you in the deep end and you swam.
I think that's the best way to learn, is just to get thrown into the thick of it. So yeah, no, I think, like you both said, I think we've gelled really well, and we do make a really good team together.
And in the blink of an eye, 4 years will be gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, it happens quickly.
It happens very quickly.
Although this year is probably going to feel like a long year.
Yes.
But,
yes.
Yeah.
So take everyone behind the scenes of Dietitian Connection. What's it like to work here? And a bit of the behind the scenes. Do you want to have a start on that one, Melissa?
Yeah, sure. So it's great. That's one way to put it. It's really it's a really awesome place to work, and we get Friday afternoons off, which is life-changing, so that's awesome. But I guess on a day-to-day, in day-to-day, everything is, every day is different. It never gets boring. And like I said, I've only been here for 4 months, but I've had a really good mixture of lots of different things. So my role, I get to kind of put my dietitian hat on sometimes. So especially in the last little bit, we've been working really hard on our patient resource library that I've been heavily involved in. So that's been great. And obviously, I get to do a lot of learning as well, being involved in all of the professional development things that we produce. But also I've been able to learn a lot of skills that are probably outside of a typical dietitian job. So, I'm doing a lot of social media work and communication work, and thanks to Kate, a lot of my tech skills I feel have gone through the roof, because I'm doing lots of things on, the website and things that I probably never would have known or learned how to do. So every day is different, and I'm learning a lot and getting to do lots of different things. And like we've kind of touched on, we're really, really well connected, which has been really awesome with our, daily meetings on Zoom, and our virtual lunches and our walking meetings. So yeah, day to day, it's impressive how connected we are, given that we're in different states. So it's been really good.
You, Kate?
I'm probably going to talk more broadly here. I think at Dietitian Connection, we work really hard and we play really hard. That's probably how I'd sum it up. Probably not as much.
I was going to say there's more work hard than play hard.
Well, obviously that needs to be the case, but and Melissa, I guess we haven't been able to share that with you just yet because of the way the world is at the moment. But when things start becoming a little bit more normal, hopefully we get to spend a bit more time together. And we at Dietitian Connection, we take time to celebrate our wins, which is what helps restore us for the next big job that we give ourselves. So I think that's really good. I think without being able to celebrate and play, we wouldn't be refueled to work hard. So that's kind of just a really vague, broad thing. I think, Maree, your leadership is what drives the culture at Dietitian Connection, and it's a really healthy culture. It's one that celebrates flexibility and us being able to, and having a life, not having a life outside of work, and then also being happy at work, which I think is probably why you keep team members so long and is a really positive thing, and it's why we enjoy our jobs. We move incredibly quickly on things, sometimes too fast for all of us to keep up. Melissa, you being on the team has enabled us to do that this year, I would say faster than we have been able to before. But it was really important for this year as well. So it was good timing. And I think, Maree, you have a lot of really big ideas that you've been able to give more breath to this year because we've been able to move quickly and all of that. So, yeah. And I wish we had a bigger team, and I'm sure that'll come in the future. But right now it's a small, tight-knit team. We all wear a lot of different hats. We're all doing like crazy hat dance most days. But it's really good. I think we all have a lot of skills because we have to wear all of those hats, and it's good. I wouldn't change it. Yeah.
I think people are often surprised at how much work we do or how many things we are able to produce, given it is they don't realize it's such a small team. So that's a credit to all of you, but it does mean that we do work really hard. And a lot of times it can be very stressful because we're trying to do so much in a very short period of time. And yeah, I think then we do try to, there's not often times we have a downtime, but yeah, we try to make sure we celebrate and enjoy when we have the capacity to do so. But we've learnt to, think of stress as a positive thing, because it means that we can achieve great things. And, we've already done some amazing things this year with, the COVID-19 resource hub and some of the webinars that we were running in that period. It was a crazy few weeks where we still are running almost a webinar every week. The COVID resource hub with all the resources in it, and then the new patient resource library. We also had the very successful virtual gut conference recently. What else have we done this year? I feel like we've jam-packed so much in.
We launched our YouTube channel. We launched bite-sized chats.
Yeah, and it's only July, only halfway there.
Yeah, we got to do a lot of things that have been on our list for a while that we really wanted to make happen, and it kind of just, I guess we weren't able to give it as much air, but I'm glad we did it, even though you got a bit of resistance from me, Maree. And it was only because I was worried about how we were going to fit all of it in.
Yeah. And I guess behind that all is we're always thinking of the dietitian community and what you need and what would be valuable to you, and so that's what drives us. And the patient resource library, as an example, we just got so much positive feedback, so many emails and messages on Instagram of that you're actually using the resources and finding them really helpful. So that's great motivation for us to keep going. So thank you for sharing that feedback.
That is what keeps us going.
So I don't know if you can talk about a typical day. I know no day is typical for Dietitian Connection, but
you go ahead, Melissa. You're a bit more structured than I am.
Sure.
Chaotic.
Well, I guess every day is different. And like I was saying earlier, I have been putting, I guess, a lot of time into our fact sheets and resources that we've been getting up and running. So that involves, writing the resources, reviewing them with you guys, taking the food photos, working with the graphic designer to get that all done. So that's probably taken up a lot of time in the last couple of weeks. I do a lot of the marketing and communications tasks, so lots of social media, writing up the EDMs, the newsletter. I got to contribute to Infuse a couple of weeks ago as well. And then I also do quite a bit of work, as it needs to be done for the upcoming webinars and the podcast on the website, and developing marketing plans. So there's lots of different things. So we can't really say what a typical day looks like. It's kind of a mixture of those things thrown into into the mix. And I guess the one constant thing that we have every day is our morning meeting, which is a really good way to kind of set the tone of the day and get on task and reprioritize every day what the most important thing is that's come in. It's hard to describe a typical day, but it's a mixture of all of those things spread throughout the week.
And before you started at DC, did you realise how much went on behind the scenes for all those different activities?
No idea. It's so much more detailed and complex and intricate than I thought it was. So it really opened my eyes into how much work goes on. And I think, it's just, it's like we were saying, we get a lot of work done for such a small team. Because didn't really realise the work that went into it all.
About you, Kate?
I don't really have a typical day. Melissa's probably summed it up nicely. In the morning, I try to ignore my emails and try and do what I call eat my frog, which is the harder part of my day, and then prep for our meetings. And then you guys both know I both hit you with a rapid fire round during our meetings with everything I need you to know. And then I try and continue with the harder thing after the meeting, and the rest of the day is often chaos, but I really like it like that. And I focus more on getting stuff done rather than spending X amount of time on something. So yes, I know that's not what you want to hear. That's true.
Yeah. So if you had to pick one thing, the best thing about working at DC, what would that be, Melissa?
So I guess I really like that, I get to learn so much about so many different areas of dietetics through the professional development opportunities that Dietitian Connection provides. And I guess being a part of that service, being able to help you provide that to the dietitian community, I really have this sense of, I'm working with you to contribute to the profession. And that's something that I'm really proud to be a part of. And I guess kind of without sounding too cheesy, I really feel that, the team, like you guys are just so awesome to work with. And I feel really lucky that I get to come to work with you both every day, because we do get along so well, and it's such a nurturing environment. And I think, so much of enjoying your job is the people that you work with. And I feel really lucky that you both chose me to be a part of the team. And I think, Maree, you just take the time to listen, and you really care about how we're doing, and you're asking us all the time, if we're okay, and if there's anything else you can do. And I feel like you really go out of your way to I feel like with me, I've only been here for a few months, but you've already tried so hard to identify, what I like and what I'm good at, and help to push me in a direction of growth that I want my career to go in. And I think, Kate, you just get things done. You're an absolute workhorse, and you're so positive, and you're so knowledgeable, and it's such a nice environment to be a part of. That's probably two things that are the best things about working for DC. I probably couldn't pick one, but they're both pretty good options.
Thanks, Melissa. Yeah. That's great.
And you, Kate?
I'm actually going to mention three things. The first thing is that I think we're all part of a higher purpose, and that's really meaningful in the work that we do. And the purpose is inspiring and empowering dietitians, and that is quite a responsibility. But it is really what I guess drives us and what keeps us going. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The third thing is, I guess, the culture in our workplace. And I spoke about that before, and I think the culture and focusing on the outcomes is what brings the change that we all want to see. And then the third thing I think is that, Maree, you really care about us as people and what we're trying to achieve, and we don't get caught up too much in making things completely perfect and in lots of paperwork and red tape. We do that when it's needed, but we don't do that for the sake of it. And I really appreciate that, because we can focus on what we're trying to do and what matters the most. Yeah, that was a bit philosophical.
Yeah, apart from when I get nitty gritty on an image or on a
and then I really struggle to see eye to eye with you, but those meetings are very interesting. Melissa knows exactly what we're talking about.
So for those that are, I'm going to spring a question on you, but what if someone's in a team, whether that be small or large, what things do you think we do that they might be able to implement that you think make a difference?
I think it's focusing on the result, on what we're trying to achieve. I think we can often, you do need to break that up into little milestones. That's how you actually progress through a massive project. But I think focusing on what are you trying to do, going back to the actual purpose and what you're trying to achieve is often far more helpful than trying to say, I need to tick this box, or I need to finish this part of the project because I know, because it's part of the project outline. Okay, why are we doing that? Yeah. What do you think, Melissa?
For me, I guess I'm a bit more, for this question, a bit more bigger picture. I think that communication is so crucial for a team to work well, and I really think that's why the three of us work really well, because we're just always in contact with each other. Kate, I think there's some days where I call you 10 times, just for a quick 2-second question, or we're sending voice messages or text messaging, or we are always in communication with each other all day, every day. And I think that's probably part of why we're so successful, is because we're really well connected, and I guess it's a really safe environment where you can ask anything and we won't seem silly. So I think that's a big part of why our team works really well together.
Maybe it's because we're a smaller team, so communication doesn't have to go through 10 people. It only has to go through 3.
Yeah.
I think definitely it's harder the bigger the organization, for sure.
And more personalities involved, and but there's definitely some gems in there that could be adapted to if it was a bigger team.
So just going back to COVID again, do you feel like you're working less, the same, more? And is there things that you're doing different personally and professionally, and or professionally? And, what have been some of the challenges or the opportunities, and perhaps what are some of the silver linings? And there's a lot of questions here. And
that's 4 questions, Maree. Can we peel it back?
Yeah. I'll leave you with that. Don't have to answer all of them. Pick and choose what you want to share based on that.
Well, I'll let you go first. Yeah, you want me to go first? Okay. I'm definitely working less, but I'm doing more focused work. And I guess some of the silver linings are that I've reconnected with many friends during COVID, and I've become closer to my parents and closer to my partner, Chris. So I think probably just for the sake of, one, we're with each other more at home, or with my parents, I'm talking to them on the phone, and 2, probably has made us all stop and think what's important in our lives. I think in terms of also professionally, I think I just feel a little less pressure maybe than we did before COVID, when it comes to traveling and being at places in person. And I think it's opened up our eyes to what can actually be done online, and there are so many opportunities there. And I guess I feel less pressure in my personal life as well to say yes to things that we've talked about this before, the fact that we all say yes, and sometimes it's okay to say no to something if you don't have the emotional energy for it. I think with that comes being able to, last few months, being able to rest a bit more and not feel guilty for it, not feel like I have to be productive every single waking hour. I don't have children to look after, so in my life might look different to someone who does have children, but I don't feel guilty for being able to rest, because I think we've all needed a bit more rest lately. Yeah. I think other silver linings are that I think distance is no longer a barrier to when it comes to talking to people and catching up with people, and maybe that's why I've reconnected with some friends as well. And I hope out of this we're going to be talking more about mental health. I feel like it's being discussed a bit more in the political space, but I really hope this opens up more focus on mental health, since there are a lot of people really struggling at the moment. And maybe also being more environmentally conscious. We don't have to be in our cars and sitting in traffic 3 hours of the day just to be somewhere in person when it can be done digitally, and maybe this is going to be better for the environment over time.
About you, Melissa?
What about you?
So for me, like I was kind of saying earlier, it's kind of hard to know how my life would have played out or changed, because I haven't been able to experience this role kind of outside of COVID times yet. I guess that I'm probably working the same amount of hours, but I've got a lot more time on my hands because I'm not having to commute. So in my previous role, some days I would have to travel 3 hours round trip to get to and from work. So I definitely have a lot more time on my hands. And I'm able to kind of practice what I preach much more now than I ever have been able to before. I have time for movement every day. I can, get enough sleep and take care of myself a little bit better. So that's, something that's probably changed the most, is just my work-life balance, and I'm really, really loving it. So that's been a big positive. I guess, something else, I guess, in terms of silver linings, is that I just have a bit more appreciation for how lucky I am to live the normal life that I do. I never thought I would, I probably took for granted just the freedom of being able to go out for breakfast or go and see a friend, or, just those little parts of life that I missed so much during isolation. It's really given me more appreciation for, I guess, the small things in life, as cliche as that sounds. And like you, Kate, it kind of has really, again, given me more appreciation for my friendships and my relationships. It's kind of like, with food, when you tell yourself you can't eat something, you all of a sudden crave it so much more. And I feel like it was the same with social connection during isolation. All of a sudden you're told you can't go and see all your friends, and it just made me crave it so much more. So yeah, not that I ever took my relationships for granted, but it's probably helped to put things into perspective and subconsciously given me a bit more of a push to really put effort into relationships with friends and that kind of thing, because I guess it's probably a sign of Gen Y that I probably would never have really picked up the phone and just rang my friends. I would have just texted them or, waited till I saw them in person, but you couldn't really ever see someone in person for those few months when lockdown was on. So yeah, it's really given me, I guess I've said it a few times now, but more appreciation just for day-to-day life in general and the importance of relationships, and how much of a positive effect that can have on your mental health and your well-being. I think that's probably, been the biggest silver lining for me.
And so to end with, ladies, what are you looking forward to most post-COVID or in the next 6 to 12 months? Should we still be in COVID territory?
What are we looking forward to, did you say?
Yeah, it's there.
You go ahead, Melissa.
I guess it's hard to say. There's just so much uncertainty. I guess I'm just really looking forward to life getting back to normal whenever that can happen, and I guess getting back to life with a bit more balance and a bit more focus on connection with, you know, the people that are important to us.
Anything to add, Kate?
I'm looking forward to when we can do Dietitians Unite.
Yeah, it's a good one.
That's such a great day. And when we can see all of our colleagues who are watching this or listening to this, we're really excited to see you in person when we can. And I think it's important to at least focus on the moment and get done what we can now and be as grateful as we can now. And yes, I really hope that we can get back to a little closer to normal, hopefully at the end of this year or next year. Yeah.
Thank you so much, ladies. I'm sure everyone's going to be keen to hear what you have to say. So I'm sure they've really enjoyed our chat, but I'd like to obviously take the opportunity to thank both of you. Every day I feel so blessed and grateful for, I call it the DC Dream Team, because we really are the DC Dream Team. Like, I'm just ever so grateful that you choose to work at Dietitian Connection, and you both have such incredible strengths and talents that you bring to Dietitian Connection, which just make it, you know, better than it even was before. So I know we've only got more great things coming in the future, and yeah, just thank you for all of the hard work and effort, because it is a lot of hard work and effort that you put in behind the scenes that people don't get to see, that makes such a difference to, you know, what we're able to do here at Dietitian Connection for the dietetic profession globally. So thank you to both of you for that.
Thanks, Maree.
Thanks, Maree. Thanks for everything that you do for our profession and for us, and for sharing your passion and your purpose with us. It means a lot.
Yeah.
Thanks, ladies, and we look forward to seeing everyone on a future Dietitian Connection bite-sized chat.